everyone, this is Cynics once again, and I'm going to be doing episode 7 of my Painting Faces series. I think we've got to be over halfway through, halfway done that is by now. But in this episode I'm going to be doing this face kind of way down here in the very bottom, and it's kind of a close-up. You don't get to see the whole face. Kind of mainly focuses on the eyes, and I don't know what you'd call that expression exactly. Kind of a tired expression, or it could be a judgmental expression, or maybe kind of a shifty expression. It's kind of an interesting expression, though. Hopefully we can agree on that. But the eyelids are very big. The eye's kind of closed. I didn't want to focus on like the inner eye that much, the pupils and whatnot. I wanted to focus on the kind of the eye area though, with the eyelids and whatnot, because that's a very interesting area. I think there's a lot of color in the eyelids and stuff like that. So, aside from that, I think the thing I wanted to focus on in this episode was mainly getting my values to be correct. So in order to do that, you can see me flipping off and on the black and white a lot, going from black and white to color. And to do that in a very easy way, I actually just made a layer on top of everything, because I'm working on multiple layers with the painting. There's one under the line art and one above the line art, so to quickly make everything look grayscale, I just put a layer above everything else, and I fill it in completely black, and I set the layer property to, I believe it's color. You can play around with that. I'm pretty sure it's the color layer property, and that should make everything black and white. And then you can easily just flip that off and on, make it visible or invisible, and that'll give you a nice way to quickly check your grayscale values and all of that good stuff. So it's a pretty useful little trick to do there. Anyway, let's see. The other thing I wanted to kind of establish with this particular face was to kind of make it look very painterly, so you can see the brush strokes are very kind of chunky and blocky and stuff like that, and I kind of weave a bunch of those chunks together, and that kind of makes it look painterly to me. At least I think it's kind of an interesting style that kind of fits my technique. You may find other kind of styles and techniques that fit you better, but this kind of fits me for making things look painterly. So, I'm kind of doing a lot with the nose right here, because I keep checking the black and white, and the nose just isn't like popping out to me as being dark enough in value. I kind of wanted the whole face to be kind of in the mid-tone area, because I was mainly focusing on trying to make it work with the rest of the faces on the page, and you can see when the black and white come on that a lot of the faces are very kind of high value, and obviously the one female in the center there is very low value, but there's not really much that's right in the middle. I guess the first one was kind of in the middle, but there's a lot of light ones that I've done lately, so I wanted this one to be more in the middle value-wise, so that's kind of what I'm going for. So I was focusing on that, and I'm also trying to bring in a lot of hues, but I'm not worrying too much about the actual hues. I'm just kind of trying to bring in a lot of different colors, and I figure, a bunch of different colors, I'll be able to correct them in the end. Because I think it was about halfway through here that I kind of figured, or I kind of noticed that I was using the same kind of orangish tones that I'd already used in some of the other faces and stuff. So I didn't want to stick with that, but I figured I'd at least finish out this value section, sticking to that comfort zone of just doing these, orangish tones and whatnot. And then afterward, I'm just going to go back and color correct it and change it to maybe a more bluish tone, something like that. So, anyway, I think this is about the part in the painting where I start working above the line art. You can see I kind of jumped to that as early as I could. I would say I was like halfway done, or a little over halfway done at this point. I'd established all my colors, and I really just wanted to get rid of pretty much as many of the black lines as I could. Even on the outside of the face, I kind of got rid of that outline on the left side of the face, which is, I think, more than I've done in any of the other faces so far. I really wanted it to look painterly, so got rid of most of the line art, kind of working on the eye a lot, trying to get it to look right. Obviously, the whites of the eyes, the quote-unquote whites of the eyes, are very gray in this one and kind of really dark value because the eyes kind of closed and whatnot. I don't know. I don't think I've mentioned the whole lighting scheme that I was going for, but obviously there's a lot of highlights coming off the kind of the area under the eyebrow, which would normally be kind of in shadow. But so obviously I'm going for a lighting scheme where the light's kind of coming from underneath and kind of popping up onto the face and giving those nice bright highlights on the upper side of the, or I should say on the lower side of the eyebrow. So that's kind of an interesting look. It's kind of a very dynamic look, and I've been seeing it a lot in different kind of more painterly artists' faces. They like to do that a lot, where you have the light coming from the bottom a bit, or just coming from the front. But you get those nice highlights in that brow area, and it's kind of an interesting look. Um, so yeah, I would say I was kind of done with the actual face at this point. You can see I got rid of the eyebrows, I added them back in a more painterly way, and now I'm trying to decide what to do with the hair. And I decided I'd just go with something more blondish again, just to kind of break it up from the two kind of dark-haired figures that are right next to it, so that kind of makes it pop a bit. And yeah, there we go. I'm kind of just checking my final values. I think I'm about done at this point. I've kind of painted in some hair. I didn't worry too much about the lines of the hair. And here you can see this is actually a little cut. I jumped ahead a little bit. I was messing around a little bit. There's an arrow there for some reason. I got rid of that later. I don't know why that's there. But I got rid of the top layer. The top layer above the line art is off right now, and I'm just working with that base layer to kind of get my colors right, decide what colors to go with. I decided to kind of make them a little more bluish and a lot cooler. Especially when you have a light coming up from underneath, you could probably get away with that. Because obviously when you have the light coming up from underneath, it's probably not going to be a outdoor, warm lighting scheme. It's probably going to be something indoor, maybe a monitor, maybe something like that. So you can get away with doing really cool kind of fluorescent lighting. So I kind of picked the colors and then I just did the exact same thing to the layer that was above the line art just to make them mesh properly. And that is pretty much it for this face. I checked my values once again. I'm pretty happy with the values. It's darker than the self-portrait, darker than the one to the right. It's more like on par with the one in the middle. But there we go. There's my close-up, and I guess that is it for this face. I'm sorry if I kind of rambled a bit and wasn't that informative. Wasn't really sure what to talk about with this one, but it was fun to do anyway. I guess it also shows the importance that values can make when you're doing your piece, and if your values are working properly, then you can get away with pretty much any color changes you want to do at the end. You can make the colors whatever you want, and you'll know it will work because your values are correct and your values work. So anyway, I think that's all. I will see you guys later.